Hi, welcome to the EEVblog. Today we're going to take a look at the Legria HF G30 from Canon. Their sort of top of the line consumer camcorder, getting into sort of the prosumer category. It's practically identical to the XA20 and XA25 unit in terms of the body itself, but the XA units have the carry handle on top and the XLR inputs and pro stuff like that, but essentially pretty much the same unit. So as you might know, I'm a professional YouTube video blogger, and the Canon HF G10, this one I've been using. This is 2 generations back. There was the HF G20 and now the HF G30, which I've just bought and upgraded to. But this HF G10 has been my main blogging camera for the last couple of years, and I've shot like, I don't know, 500 videos or something with it, so I know it really well. So I'm going to take a look at the HF G30 pretty much in comparison to the HF G10 and sort of its suitability to my blogging purposes. So let's get into it. So this HF G10, when it first came out, it was pretty groundbreaking, and it was an extremely popular camera, and it's no surprise why. It had a nice big professional ×10 zoom lens on it with a big zoom ring on the front, had a large 3-inch LCD with 920k pixels, really high resolution, which is quite important when you're always shooting stuff behind the camera. If you're constantly watching the camera like this instead of just using the camera and watching over, very important to have a high resolution screen. And it had that Joule SD cards. It had really good quality built-in mics, external mic port of course, and you know, it was really a professional level. Oh, and the HD CMOS Pro sensor as well, and it didn't waste any pixels. It didn't have, you know, a big 10 or 12 megapixel sensor or something like that. It just had the couple of megapixels required to give you the full HD performance of the thing, which was so pretty phenomenal. So its low light performance was pretty good. And by the way, when you're talking video blogging, low light in quote marks is not, you know, 5 lux or 10 lux like in the dark. Okay, that makes no difference. I'm shooting this here in a commercial office environment with maybe, you know, 300-400 lux on the bench or something like that. I can get my meter out and check that, but that is actually low light, and it makes a hell of a difference. I'll have to do a separate video on that. But so it's really important to get, if you're shooting indoors at all, to get a really professional sensor, large size, large format sensor in your camera. And this one had it, even though it was, you know, it wasn't APS size like you can get these days, but it was pretty darn good because it didn't have any extra pixels. So although it was a relatively small sensor, it didn't have many pixels, the actual pixel size was bigger. Anyway, that's the HF G10. It was a fantastic camera, still is, but it had a lot wrong with it. The first major problem with this camera was that it was touchscreen and touchscreen only, no external cursor control or anything like that. And not only was it touchscreen, but it was a horrible touchscreen. You had to sort of get a second, like, you know, had to get your whole hand on there to support it and then press really hard, and it was just a real chore to use, absolutely horrible. Couple of other things on it. The hot shoe at the back was Canon proprietary. Ugh, it's freaking annoying. Get rid of that shit. Give us a proper industry standard shoe on the thing, even if it's a cold shoe mount. Other things like the microphone port on the side, external mic, great, fantastic, but it didn't have enough clearance around it to plug really big 3.5mm connectors into it. And the zoom rocker on the top here went in a east-west type fashion instead of your proper north-south rocker. It's just non-intuitive. Even after using it for years, you still sort of pushed it the wrong way. Oh, fail. And the lens on it, while it was really top quality, it wasn't that wide. It was only a smidgen under 30mm, which is okay, but hey, I would appreciate something a bit wider angle than that, and it had a bit of barrel distortion at the full wide angle as well. So I'm hoping that they've fixed that. And the ×10 zoom on this thing, while pretty good, it would have been advantageous for me when I attach my macro zoom lens on here to have actually more than ×10. So the new model actually has ×20, so I'm hoping to compare the two with the macro lens and see how it works and see if I can get that increased magnification for macro shots. That'll be awesome. And there's some people who complained about the image stabilization and this thing getting the jello effect and all that. They've greatly improved it in the new one with an extra axis of compensation on the thing, so it should be much better. A lot of people complained about the viewfinder on this thing. It was low resolution, you couldn't tilt it up, the diopter adjustment was finicky, and well, I never really used the viewfinder on this thing, always using the LCDs because I mostly shoot in an indoors environment, but even outdoors I found the screen was pretty good, so I could still use it. And for a top level camera that's bordering on, prosumer, sort of, semi-pro kind of level use, it's got little dicky, consumer level things in it, like, please, a message that pops up, please back up your recordings regularly. Like, give me a break. I don't need that shit. I don't need to be reminded about that sort of stuff. So really annoying pop-up messages. Give me a break. And on the encoding side of things, this thing only did 50i. It didn't do 50p or 60p if you're in the US. This is the Australian model, which is 25/50. And I found it really annoying personally that it only supported either full HD or 1440 by 1080. It didn't support like, semi HD like 1280 by 720 or something lower like that, which would have been really useful for my long live videos, for example, where I don't need, it's just a me talking head shot for 5 hours or something like that. I don't need full HD for those sort of things, but and for shooting like long time-lapse type stuff, I don't sometimes need full HD. I just want the thing to be small file size. So, something like an MPEG 4 format, or just being able to select a smaller resolution would have been nice. Anyway, the most annoying thing with this is that I was caught out a couple of times with this is sort of like a random bug in the thing where if you take out the SD card in the thing and then go, as I would often do, take the SD card out, go check it on my PC, my big screen, everything, make sure everything's, the image and sound and everything's right, and then I'll whack it back in. Well, if you accidentally do that with the power on, which granted is against what the manual says. The manual says you got to switch off the thing before you, insert and remove the cards, blah, 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 right? Fine, okay, right? But it happens by accident. You're in the heat of the shoot, and you just forget. Okay, I put the card back in, I shoot, then I continue my shoot. Everything looks fine on the screen here. It tells me I'm recording, the counter's going up, everything's working as it normally would. I do my whole day's shoot with the thing, I get back to the bloody computer. What happens? The stupid thing did not record the videos on the card. Unbelievable. That is inexcusable. And I know it's technically against the manual, but any firmware that allows that is a complete fail. They should have at least given you a warning message. Okay, I'm shutting the thing down because it's a soft switch. Okay, I'm shutting it down because you've accidentally removed the SD card, or please power it up, or lock it out, or something. Lock out the user from recording anymore until they recycle the power on the thing, or something like that. Just no. Last thing I want, you got to have absolute confidence in your camera that when you press record on the damn thing, it's going to record to your SD card. And it didn't, but it was a random bug, didn't show up all the time, because I used to use this thing all the time by not powering it off, just whacking the SD card in and out when it was powered on. And it worked fine, but I've been caught out at least twice in my 500 videos where it showed up where it didn't bloody well do that. So anyway, that pissed me off. So hopefully this thing is a little bit better, but that may not be easy to test for that bug. Anyway, enough of that ranting. Let's take a look at the HF G30 now, which I've been shooting this video right here at 17 megabits per second AVCHD with my Rode video mic, Pro shotgun mic on top, about 2 meters away, so the audio is not terrific. So that's not the camera, it's just the fact that I've lazy and didn't mic myself up, and I'm using the shotgun mic a fair distance away. So let's take a look at the HF G30. If I'm shooting this video where I've got both cameras in shot, I'll be shooting it with my older Canon HF M400, which uses the same HD CMOS Pro sensor as this, but it's got a smaller screen and not quite as good a lens, but that's not a bad little camera as well. Let's go. And this is what you get in the box. You get the camcorder itself, you get a very nice flappy front hood on it. You get the remote control, which is the standard one for the HF G10 as well. They've still got that. It's got limited functionality, but I do appreciate the minimalist approach. It's very small. You can whack it in your pocket really easy. Power cord, no external charger. Really annoying. They only give you the lower capacity battery. They don't give you the high capacity battery, the tight asses. They give you a micro USB cable, and they give you the audio interface lead and the mini standard mini B for the PC transfer as well. Just operates like a normal drive, a quick start guide, and some software which nobody ever uses. And by the way, you do get the standard lens hood as well, so you can use either one. But I do like this new flappy lens hood like that. Look, it's just beautiful. Oh, I love it. And attention to detail, they even put little rubber stoppers on there so it doesn't, you know, so you just get like a little gentle thud. You don't get a big clang like that, you know. Really nice. Anyway, the camcorder itself is a beautiful build and finish, really high quality plastics, feels and looks fantastic, exactly like the HF G10, so no disappointment whatsoever. A little bit bigger, as I'll show you at the moment. I'm shooting this one with the HF G10, but we've got the viewfinder which pops up. The diopter adjustment on the bottom is in a much more usable place. You've got the eye cup, and that is 1.5 million pixels on that viewfinder, so greatly increased. They've got the times 20 zoom lens, exactly the same f1.8 as the HF G10, but it goes to times 20 instead of times 10, so big improvement there. The same instant autofocus, the same 58mm diameter thread attachment, which is great. I can use my existing macro lenses. It's got exactly the same built-in high quality mics, which are great for speech, which I'm using at the moment. I'm just standing over my HF G10 at the moment, and these built-in mics work fantastic. They're super high quality. Finally, we've got a standard cold shoe mount up the top, and as a bonus they have kept the proprietary Canon one at the back, so that's really handy actually, because you can actually keep both on there. Like you could have a wireless mic on here and you could have something else, or vice versa, so that's pretty handy. But and also it's moved forward as well, so you get closer if you got like a shotgun mic like the Rode video mic Pro on the thing. We've got a proper rocker, north-south this time. Oh, fantastic. Words can't express how great that is, and it's got velocity adjustment as well, so if you sort of touch it a little bit, you get a slower zoom, and if you push faster, you get a higher zoom. But very customizable zoom options in this thing. I won't go into detail, but geez, you can set the velocity rate and all sorts of stuff. It's fantastic. You'll notice a really substantial bulk difference between these two camcorders, and the new HF G30 is significantly longer because it's got, you know, the bulkier, much improved, by the way, viewfinder. But yeah, it certainly is much wider there, and it's, you know, it is going to be a little bit heavier, but yeah, not much in it really. But yeah, you do get the extra functionality in this thing. And look at that cold shoe. Oh, brilliant Joule shoe on the thing. That's to get the carry handle, by the way. If you get the if you get the professional model, the XA20 or the 25, it just has the handle which actually connects in there with your XLR inputs and things like that. But apart from that, and a night vision mode, there's basically no difference between the HF G30 and the XA20. And on the base of it here, we've got our standard tripod mount, which they have moved a little bit forward from the battery release mechanism there like that. So this is my plate for my tripod. The other one was okay. I could still get my finger in and release the battery when it was on the tripod, and that's a big deal. Trust me, if you're in the middle of a shoot, you don't want to get out and get the screwdriver and undo the damn, you know, take the thing off just so that you can get the battery out. Screw that. And the previous HF G10 had the custom wheel on the back here, but they've changed that to under the bottom. I'm not sure I particularly like the placement of that button. It's okay on a tripod when you've got the camera on a 45-degree mount, but if you got it there, you're sort of shooting, you know, feeling a bit blind where the button is. I guess you'd get used to that. But anyway, the custom button, and then they've got the custom wheel on there. By default, it's set to exposure, and that's what I've got mine set on my HF G10, because apart from focus, the most important thing I have to do as a video blogger is to make sure I've got correct exposure, and I'm shooting this at the moment with manual exposure. So if I touch the custom button on the back of my HFG10, you'll notice the exposure changed, and when I go in and out, that auto exposure can be a little bit annoying. So as a a little pro tip, when you're a blogger, just press that custom button, which this one would be on the bottom, and it fixes that focus. And yeah, my hands are a bit overexposed, but it means I can move things in and out, and it doesn't it doesn't automatically change that exposure. So just makes your videos look a bit better if you set the manual exposure, and having that custom button to do that is great. But by the way, this one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 customizable buttons. Fantastic. And the Joule SD card slots remain, but Canon, the tight asses, have removed the internal memory. The HFG10 had a very generous 32 gig internal memory on this thing. This thing has nothing. Zip, nada, sweet FA. Ah, screw you, Canon. And they've changed the main button here, and they've put it on the top instead of soft button on the side here. So maybe if you got it in your bag, you might accidentally touch that on and maybe waste some battery if you don't have auto power off set to a short thing. Anyway, that's a minor gripe. But a major gripe is that, camera this way, and to go back to the media, you've got to actually switch it off, then back on. It's just retarded. So you've got to do that, operate this manual switch every time. If you're in the habit of playing back your clip after every clip, you would have to switch your camera straight over to the media, which technically switches it off and goes there, and look, it's just dumb. But one very nice touch, the nice zoom ring that we had on the front on the HFG10 was just a zoom, but now it's selectable zoom or focus by a switch here. Nice touch. And what they've done is gone and replaced the headphone jack, which was here, so you had to have the LCD open for your headphone jack. That's all changed, and now it's around here behind this little flappy thing, which I actually find rather annoying. But anyway, you can now plug big jacks into your microphone. You've got your headphone, you've got your mini B to connect to your USB. It's standard mass storage device, no problems at all. And the standard micro HDMI output. But yeah, I just find that a little bit annoying that you have to always open that thing, because I'm always unplugging and plugging in my external mic. It was just handy when that wasn't behind a flap. And one thing they've actually added a dedicated headphone socket, whereas before on the HFG10 it was combined with the AV output here, and you had to go into software to switch that over, and it was really annoying. So yeah, big thumbs up to that. And the XA25, the Pro version of this, has an SDI coax connector output there, but this one's not fitted. Wonder if you could hack it. And battery life on this thing still remains to be seen. I'm getting the higher capacity batteries with it, but the standard battery at least is higher capacity than the old standard battery in the HFG10. So it was actually better battery life, but the HFG10 always had an awesome battery life with the extended battery pack, which I had for these things. Here it is. And this is my old extended battery pack for the HFG10, and that one I could get like 5 hours worth of continuous recording with that puppy. So yeah, I'm hoping that I'll get some decent recording. These are quite a low power, relatively low power camcorder, so they do make fairly efficient use of the larger batteries. So, but still, I don't have those yet, so that still remains to be seen. But still, pretty decent battery life. I think the standard one will go for like 150 minutes or something like that. So not too bad. Now, as I said, you only get the standard battery pack, the BP820 with this. You don't get the high capacity 828. Tight asses once again. But worse than this, they have changed the battery. From the HFG10. Are you shitting me? This is my aftermarket Wasabi power batteries, which are very good, by the way. They do physically fit, but watch this. Battery pack is not compatible. Turning off the camcorder. Are you shitting me? It's exactly the same battery. They've just chipped it different. Are you kidding me? I want to shove this battery up the Canon marketing manager's ass. And they've increased the sensor size in this thing from a 1/3 inch, which was still pretty darn good considering that it was just the 2 megapixels HD sensor in the thing, and now it's increased in size to 1 on 2.84 inch. So pretty good. So that should increase the already excellent low light performance in the HF-G10. And the other thing which makes the low light performance even better, they've upgraded the processing engine in this thing from the Digic 3 to the Digic 4 processor. So apparently you get better low light performance, not only from the sensor but the processing engine as well. And also the processing engine is capable of full 50p instead of 50i before. Fantastic, that stepped into the modern age. And also it can record MPEG 4s at the same time as your AVC HD. Terrific. And you bet your ass this sucker's got Wi-Fi, so you can actually remote view and control this thing from your smartphone. Awesome. And one big thing that they've added, you don't have to actually use this as a touchscreen. They've added a dedicated joystick control here, and you can get the hell out of that. You can go function, call it up, and then scroll around and do the business. Excellent. Look at that. If you want to use it that way, I don't know. I think it's a bit dicky. I just prefer to use the touchscreen. See, I still got that habit of putting my hand behind there, but now it's just got this beautiful capacitive touchscreen. Don't have to dick around. It's just soft to the touch and smooth. Awesome. Except you get to leave all your grubby finger marks on there. And yes, the confusing Canon menu system has stayed pretty much the same, but because I'm used to it, hey, big thumbs up to that. Now we've got a Wi-Fi remote option, which I'll show you. Now, one thing they've added, they've changed the audio around a bit. There is your traditional microphone. Whoa, did I get that? Hello. Your traditional manual microphone level, which is how I always do it. Unless I'm out in the field and I don't want to dick around and I'm on location just getting random, shots of the show, I'll whack it on automatic and, well, just be done with it. But generally, they've changed that around. They've got a new option here for audio scenes so that, you can just shoot, say, indoors, outdoors, and people's voices, stuff like that, which will just add a mid boost filter on it. That's pretty much it. And but you've got a bit confusing. You've got to set it over here, this C, this custom, before you can actually get in there and manually adjust the mic level. And as before, you can just take a single shot photo and you can just touch the screen to focus on any part of the screen that you want. So that's often handy. And they've got focus peaking as well. You can see the red tinge around there. You can change the color on that, and the zebra stripes as well. All that good functionality is still there. But apparently they have removed the waveform monitor. Personally, I've never used the waveform monitor, but for those who love their waveform monitor, I don't know why Canon removed it. Thumbs down. Now, the image stabilizer has changed a bit. As I said, they've added an extra axis on there, so it should work a lot better. I'm probably not going to be able to do, good comparison footage in this stage, but let's take a look what happens if we go to dynamic range. It actually does sensor shift as well, so you'll see the frame change. See, we get a slightly different frame when we have that. So if I turn it off, and we're dicking around like that, I don't know, I shake it like that, there we go, woohoo, sorry about that if it makes you dizzy, and there we go, and turn on the dynamic, and yeah, it really is quite nice. So it does image sensor shift as well. Terrific. Alright, we'll do a very quick stability test. I've mounted both cameras on top of one another like that, so yeah, they'll be exactly the same. So let's give it a whirl. I'll put on the dynamic stabilization on the G30 and the G10. Okay, I've got both cameras set up, the HF G10 on the top and the new G30 on the bottom. And I'm hand holding this, and if I just rotate it like that, I can see on the screen that the HF G10 on the top is rotating, but the G30 on the bottom, it requires, significant tilting to make that thing move. And you can see it sort of jerks around, which is, I don't know, is it good or bad? You tell me. And now up and down, I'll just give a little, maybe you can, the G10s, they're probably similar, I think. Maybe, I don't know. Hard to tell. But there you go, that's the image stabilization. And if I wander around, good thing my lab is really messy here. I can step over things like this, and I don't know, it's, I'm not really doing a hugely scientific test here, but you notice, yeah, that difference there, especially on the tilt like that, is really noticeable on the HF-G10, and it just doesn't seem to move. Rock solid on the G30. Very nice. And if you plug in the external mic here, bingo, you automatically get the extra options on the menu and the audio mix. As I said, this is a great feature. If I'm out in the field, let me turn that mic on. There we go. I can actually, they've got the internal microphone and the external microphone, so you can mix them together, but they're not actually mixed. One goes to one channel and one goes to the other on your stereo recording. So you can actually, in post editing, you can actually take them out or combine them or delete one or, you know, mute one, do whatever you want. And of course you can change the mix on them. Check, check, check 1, 2, and you can do that. So that is an absolutely fantastic feature, because as a professional video blogger who puts out, you know, at least 3 videos a week and has done for 5 years, I could not do this if I had to post-process all of my audio. I'd be spending my whole life just doing audio editing, and that's just ridiculous. I'm not shooting a Hollywood feature here. I'm doing a video blog, so I get all of my audio right in camera. It's critical. That's why I need a proper professional VU meter on the screen at all times, which this one has. And when I'm out in the field doing stuff, I can mix audio in camera. It is fantastic. And also a real professional feature, you can set the color balance of the OLED screen here. And well, for those color purists out there who've got to get their color just right on in camera on your LCD screen, this is fantastic. And here is where you can assign all those 5 different buttons, and sometimes they're just like menu, like a shortcut to the menu, and you still have to use the screen or the joystick to select them. But hey, it's a really good shortcut, and there's the custom dial up there, so you can actually change that between you know, manual exposure, which is by default, which is what I mainly use it for, but if you can change it for other stuff as well. And they've actually changed this button here by default. It's now the pre-record button, so you can set it to the camera to automatically pre-record 3 seconds before you start the video, so that, you know, if you're always, oh look, I pressed the record button too late and I missed something, that mode can actually be handy. But on the old one, it had, and is still selectable as the powered image stabilization, so I can just hold that down like that, and you notice the image stabilization comes on, and that's a real handy feature. You can just turn on image stabilization anytime you want, and the combination of having your hand on here holding the button and holding the camera at the same time actually works really well to help stabilize the camera anyway. So that's just beautiful placement of the image stabilization button. I've always loved that feature. And you can also set up FTP server settings and transfer your files directly to your FTP server. But this service is severely limited in that A, it doesn't let you set different FTP servers, and B, it's limited into what files you can actually upload, either the whole lot of files before you since you last uploaded, which is pretty much everything, or you have to manually select the files and copy them over. Oh, I won't go into details, but yeah, another completely retarded feature, which they, you know, heavily advertise this feature, and well, nah, it's just crippled. I'll just show you the ability of the focus here. It's automatically focused on the calculator here, but I can touch the power supply behind there, or that auto transformer, and then we can take it off manual focus and it'll go back instantly, pull back to where we were with the calculator. Very nice. And if you turn the ring on the front, it's still got that excellent focused assist. It zooms in and you can control the focus like that, and then it'll pop back out. Very nice. Comparing the screens here, my HF-G10 on the top, the new HF-G30 on the bottom, exactly the same size screen, but a greatly increased resolution. This one's got 1.2 megapixels or thereabouts. This one's only got 920K. The HF-G10 was pretty good, but this one is noticeably sharper, which is fantastic if you're like me and you're shooting stuff like in front and you're watching the screen because, you know, you're making sure your audio level is right and everything's in frame and all that sort of stuff, then, you know, it's great. That increased pixel resolution is everything. So huge thumbs up. Now the HF-G10, Look, I'm holding that firm, but usually I've got to put my hand behind here so that I can actually operate the damn thing like this, because it was just an annoying touchscreen. This one is just a feather touch and it just scrolls beautifully and no problems whatsoever. Oh, it's just fantastic. They've fixed it. Thank you, Canon. And if I start recording on both of them, you'll notice a big difference here. The HF-G30 now has, look, it's got hundredths of a second counting over there, and whereas the HF-G10 didn't have that, but it's a different format as well. It's a true elapsed time since you started shooting all of your clips. So I've shot 40 minutes and 26 seconds worth of accumulated clips. So that just gives you, like, if you're like me, you speak too long and your videos are really, really long, then sorry about that. If you haven't seen my videos before, it's just my style. Anyway, yeah, it shows the elapsed time of your entire footage. And if you're shooting everything with one camera, fantastic. You know how much total footage you got, and you should wrap it up now because you've been yapping on for 30 minutes or whatever. Terrific. Now, for a professional video blogger who shoots, a video could have 50 or 100 clips or even 200 clips in the one video, and I make like 3 videos a week on average. It's kind of important to be able to replay your previous clip that you just shot. And the HF-G10 was so bad at this, so frustrating, that I just, gave up, and I had to learn how to trust myself that I actually shot the material. Anyway, this one has now a preview button that previews your last clip. But look how batshit useless it is. This is the last clip I just shot, and it only displays the last 4 seconds of it without audio. What the? Oh, unbelievable. Anyway, I don't think there's any camcorder on the market that actually, not in this sort of price bracket, that sort of lets you instantly replay the videos. They're all completely retarded like this. If you want to do it, you've got to flick the switch there. You've got to go over to here. I've got to read the memory card, and there are my clips, and then I have to go in there and press it, and then I can replay my clip. But then I can move it back to the camera mode, and then I lose my exposure setting that I had. Ridiculous. And why do they have to pop that up again? Because I've turned it on. Like, no, it's retarded. Now, the new OLED screen, I don't know if this will show up on camera yet, but it is noticeably dimmer than the HF G30. Maybe I can change the brightness on it. I haven't. This is just stock straight out of the case. But anyway, it's a little bit different. And you'll notice that the VU meter is a little bit different as well. It's exactly the same. And the great thing I always loved about the Canon, not only does it have internal audio mixing, so you can mix the internal mic on the top of the camera here with an external mic. Fantastic when you're doing interviews and you're behind the camera and they're in front and stuff like that. Terrific. Fantastically flexible. Anyway, they've kept the same VU meter. It's a little bit smaller, and they've relocated it down in this corner here. They don't have the little green sweet spot marker on minus 12 dB there. They've got like minus 10, but still it's a real VU meter. Fantastic. And if you're doing videos professionally, you've got to have a proper VU meter, not some kiddie toy consumer bloody rubbish like you get on the Sonys, for example. Oh, goodness. And the other menu's pretty much all the same. It's got all the excellent zoom speed controls, the wireless zoom controller speed. Oh, this thing does zoom like there's no tomorrow. Really fantastic. It's got the face detection and tracking, auto backlights, the ND filter. It's all there. It's all exactly the same. And you can also add audio filters to the built-in mic and change the directionality. But as a video blogger who does mostly audio speech, I'm shooting always in 2-channel mono mode. If we go over here, movie format, this is added because we've never had the ability to shoot in MPEG-4 before. If you want slightly, in theory, lower quality, but better compression, I should shoot the same scene in AVC HD and MPEG-4, but I've got a workflow for AVC HD, so I'll stick to that. And of course the recording modes, here we go, we can shoot up to 35 megabits per second, 50p, fantastic, 24p, 17 meg bits per second, which is what I generally operate at, but that's for MPEG 4. If we go back into AVC HD, and then we go back out, recording mode, boom, look at this, we get, it doesn't go up to 35, it now only goes to 28 megabits per second in AVC HD, but it does do LPCM recording, which is going to be higher quality audio, but you know, for most ordinary users, you're never going to notice that LPCM difference. Now, you've either got dual recording mode or relay recording. Relay recording is where if you put in two SD cards, if one SD card fills up, it'll automatically switch over to the next one. Very handy if you're doing, you know, long period recording, time lapse, things like that. But unfortunately, the dual recording mode is not available in the 50p here. You've got to go down to the 24 megabits per second before that dual recording option pops up here. That's really annoying, but it will on card A record 24 megabits per second AVC HD, so you can choose either to copy it, so to get a redundant backup, store the same video onto two cards. That's really handy. Or the second one, unfortunately, this is a big thing which they actually promote, big feature they promote with this camera, but it's completely retarded. It doesn't let you do full HD MPEG 4 as the second recording. It only does a little pissant 4 megabits per second, 1280 by 720. Well, yeah, it's okay. The whole idea behind that is so that you can get quick footage and upload it to the internet using their further retarded FTP upload option, which I won't get into. Oh, goodness, give me a break. Well, they give the option between 3 and 4. Gee, thanks, dickheads. Oh, there we go. I can make my screen brighter, just as bright or brighter than the HF G10, but presumably that's going to choose some more power. I'll leave it on normal, probably. Please excuse me for not being able to record through this viewfinder very well, but trust me, it is absolutely beautiful. That's a diopter adjuster there, and 1.5 megapixels. Oh, it's just, the clarity is just stunning. It really is. And if we compare the HF G30, which is this one, where my hand is, hello, the barrel distortion, look, compared to the HF G10, yeah, it's probably just as bad on a similar sort of frame there. So, yeah, haven't really improved that, but you do get the extra wide angle. And by the way, if you turn on the image stabilization sensor shift thing, it takes it from about 26 millimeters to about the same 30 millimeters as on the HF G10. Now I'm going to try the macro test and see if the times 20 zoom makes any difference. I've got this lovely Opteka times 10 macro lens, and this works fantastic. So let's plug it on the HF G10, see if we can get some extra zoom. And at full times 10 zoom on the HF G10, we've got about 14 millimeters field of view there. And this is on the HF G30. Wow, look at that. Still get, you know, it's not the best quality around the fringes, just like on the HF G10, but gee, that's at full times 20 zoom with the times 10 macro lens. And look, the field of view has gone dropped from, which is a good thing, from 14 millimeters down to about 8.5, 9 millimeters, something like that. So that's just terrific. Oh. But what I'm actually going to try, I haven't actually got the lens yet. I'm going to get a larger version of this macro lens and then get a big step-up ring, big 77 millimeter step-up ring to see if I can reduce the edge effects, the edge distortion of the macro lens. So that could be a big improvement. Anyway, nothing to do with the actual camera. Now, one feature I'm very excited to try out is the Wi-Fi. So I can actually switch that on. I've got a button set down here for that. I can switch it on. You've got to set it up first anyway. You've got to put in a password of a certain length, all that sort of stuff. But you don't need an app or anything like that. All you need is a web browser, and you put in that web address. So I've switched that on, and now it should tell you on the screen Wi-Fi is now switched on, and I should be able to reload that. And it should Actually connect. Come on, you can do it. Aha, my phone had accidentally switched over to my lab Wi-Fi here. So here we go. It should connect. And bingo, we're in like Flynn. Look at that. Now we have complete remote live view. Look. Look at that. There's a slight lag on that. But who cares, right? I mean, it's fantastic. If you've got this thing set up on a balcony or in a remote location, you can actually control it, and it's got a simple or advanced mode. We're in the advanced control at the moment, and look, we've got the counter and everything, and we can set all the manual modes, and it's just fantastic. We can start, stop, here we go. Start recording. There we go, bingo. It's recording, start and stop, and live view. That is worth its weight in gold. It really is. Look at that. Love it. But look, I mean, this even has sort of like a slightly better control than what's on the camera itself. Look, I can change between the two slots here, and it'll tell me the time remaining on each slot. I can change between the cards, and that's just, it's just wonderful. It's even got your battery gauge up there, and man. This works really well. I'm very happy with this. And we can control the zoom. Look at this. Zoom in. It's great. Oh, look at that. Popped up. But that is terrific. All within a web browser. None of this app rubbish. I just love it. It works. Thumbs up Canon. They've actually got that right. And look at this. We can turn manual focus on, and we can control the focus manually. We can control the zoom. We can control the exposure. Oh man, they've got that completely right. That's exactly how it should be, and built into your browser. Unbelievable. Canon can actually get stuff right if they put their mind to it. There you go. So there you go, that's a rather lengthy look at playing around with the Canon HF G30, and it is a very significant step up from my HF G10, so I'm very, very happy with it. The extra cold shoe mount on there, the extra, like the separate headphone jack, the much higher resolution screen, that Wi-Fi feature, fantastic. I can now record in 50p, which is terrific, which other brands been able to do for ages. We've got the increased, better rocker switch, the Viewfinder I don't care about, I don't use it, but it is absolutely stunning, the Viewfinder. Fantastic ×20 zoom, which works with my macro lens. It's got some extra assignable function buttons on it. Pissed off, totally pissed off that they changed the battery. That is just absolutely retarded. I want to shove that up marketing's arse, I really do. That is just pure marketing evil. That's what it is. But geez, apart from that, it is a really, really nice camcorder, and it's got all the stuff that I'm used to. All my workflow doesn't have to change. The VU meter on it is fantastic. The internal audio mixing and stuff like that is all still there, which is fantastic. You've got the wanky cinema mode still on here, and really, as a professional video blogger, the only thing I ask of not only Canon but the other manufacturers, can you please add a single button on here, even if it's assignable, whatever, a single button that plays back the last clip that I recorded. Is that freaking rocket science? I mean, it obviously must be. Obviously, because they've only got the last 4 seconds, they're only storing it, they're caching it in some internal CPU memory, some temporary memory in there, rather than actually replaying it from the SD card. That'd be my guess, and that's why it's, they can only do the last 4 seconds. You can't even get sound with it. It's ridiculous. Please figure out a way to just play back the last clip and delete it. It'd be nice if you could just, there was a button on here, play last clip, boom. Delete last, that was shit, that was a shit clip. Delete, so I don't have to waste, card storage and upload storage and everything else, and then delete it later. Oh, man, anyway, but this is a great camcorder. It really is, and I highly recommend it, even though it still has a few little flaws in it. It's a nice upgrade from the HF G10, worth every cent, and it is a top quality piece of kit. It really is. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed that ramble. Catch you next time.